My name is Laura, and my mom, Sarah, she's a force of nature. The kind of woman who walks into a room and immediately starts rearranging the furniture in her head. She's a fixer, a doer, a whirlwind of energy. My dad left when I was 7. Nothing dramatic, no big blowout fight. He just left. Said he wasn't cut out for the family life. And my mom, she never really stopped running after that. She ran her own small catering business into a huge success. She ran marathons. She ran our lives with the precision of a military general. But she was always alone. So, when I was 22, and she sat me down with that specific, nervous smile she gets, I knew something was up. "There's someone I want you to meet," she said, twisting a napkin in her hands. "His name is David." And that's how I met David. A quiet, gentle man with kind eyes and a soft laugh. He was the complete opposite of my mom. He was an architect, a widower, and he had a son, Mark. Mark was 24, a year older than me. David showed me a picture on his phone. Mark was standing on some windswept beach, his dark hair a mess, smiling at the camera like it held a secret. He had these intense, dark eyes. I remember thinking, okay, cute. This is going to be weird. The first time I actually met him was at the family dinner. My mom had gone all out, candles on the table, the good china. It felt like a scene from a movie, two broken families trying to awkwardly glue themselves together. I was nervous, smoothing down my dress for the 100th time. The doorbell rang, and my mom flew to answer it. "Laura, honey, they're here," she called out, her voice pitched a little too high. I stood up, pasting a polite smile on my face. David walked in first, giving my mom a gentle kiss on the cheek. And then, behind him, was Mark. And let me tell you, the picture on the phone did not do him justice. He was tall, with broad shoulders from what I could only assume was swimming or something. His dark hair was a little longer now, curling just over his ears. And those eyes. Up close, they weren't just dark. They were the color of warm coffee, and they were looking directly at me. "Hi," he said, his voice a low, calm rumble. "You must be Laura." "I'm Mark." "Hi," I squeaked. I actually squeaked. Like a mouse. I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. "Yeah, Laura. That's me." Dinner was a parade of forced conversation. My mom talked about her new client. David talked about a sustainable housing project he was working on. Mark and I just sort of sat there, occasionally catching each other's eyes and then quickly looking away. It was the most awkward hour of my life. But underneath the awkwardness, there was something else. A strange awareness. Like, I knew exactly where he was sitting without looking. I could hear his soft breaths between the clinking of forks. It was weird. After dinner, my mom insisted we all watch a movie. To break the ice, she declared. So, we squished onto the couch, me on one end, Mark on the other, our parents in the middle. Halfway through the movie, my mom fell asleep, her head on David's shoulder. David, looking completely content, just smiled at us and whispered, "She does this." Mark leaned forward, looked at me, and smirked. "So, what do you think of this whole merger?" I laughed, a real laugh, finally letting go of the tension. "It's a hostile takeover, if you ask me." He grinned, and it completely changed his face. He went from being the serious, intense guy to someone who looked like he was about to play a prank. "My dad's been practicing his small talk for a week. He was terrified of you." "Of me?" I whispered, shocked. "Why?" "He said you have your mom's eyes. The ones that see right through people." I didn't know what to say to that. I just looked at my mom, peacefully asleep on her new boyfriend's shoulder. She looked happy. Really, truly happy. And for the first time, I thought, maybe this weird, awkward situation could work. Over the next few weeks, we had more forced dinners, more awkward weekends. My mom and David were blissfully wrapped up in their own world, leaving me and Mark to fend for ourselves. At first, it was just polite conversation in the kitchen. More coffee. Did you see the game? But slowly, it started to shift. One Saturday, my mom and David went to look at wedding venues. Yes, wedding venues. They moved fast. They left us with a fridge full of food and the whole house to ourselves. I was in the living room, reading, when Mark walked in with a guitar. "Hope this doesn't bother you," he said, sitting on the floor. "Just need to practice a bit." "No, go ahead," I said, trying to focus on my book. He started playing. And he was good. Really good. He wasn't playing loud rock songs, but these soft, melancholic melodies that just filled the room. I found myself putting my book down, just listening. He was so lost in the music, his eyes closed, his fingers moving effortlessly on the strings. It was beautiful. He finished a song and opened his eyes, catching me staring. A slow smile spread across his face. "Like what you hear?" I felt my cheeks burn. It was really nice. "What was that?" "Something I'm working on," he said, looking down at the guitar. "It doesn't have words yet." "Maybe it doesn't need them," I said, without thinking. He looked back up at me, and that strange awareness was back, stronger than ever. The air in the room felt thick. He held my gaze for a moment too long, then cleared his throat and looked away. "Well," he said, standing up a little too quickly, "I'm going to get a soda. You want one?" "Yeah, sure," I mumbled, my heart pounding in my chest. And that was the moment. The tiny, quiet moment when something shifted. It wasn't a declaration. It wasn't a grand gesture. It was just a look. But it was a look that said, "I see you. And I think you're interesting. And from a stepbrother you barely know, that look is everything and nothing. And it's the most dangerous thing in the world." The weeks that followed were a masterclass in self-deception. I told myself it was nothing. He was just being friendly. He was just a nice guy. But my brain kept a detailed log of every single interaction. Like the way he started making my coffee exactly how I liked it. 1 sugar, a splash of oat milk. I never told him. He just noticed. The first time he handed it to me, I just stared at it. "How did you?" He just shrugged, that smirk playing on his lips. I pay attention. Or the way we'd find ourselves on the back porch late at night, long after our parents had gone to bed. We'd sit in the dark, talking about everything and nothing. He told me about his mom, how much he missed her, how it felt like a part of him was missing. I told him about my dad, the feeling of being abandoned, of always waiting for the other shoe to drop. We shared our deepest, most private pains, and in the sharing, we created a world that was just ours. A world where we weren't step-siblings, but just two people who understood each other. It was on one of those nights that the line was officially crossed. Not physically, not yet, but emotionally, morally. It was a Friday night. My mom and David were at a late dinner with clients. A huge thunderstorm was rolling in. The power went out. The house was plunged into darkness, the only sound the furious rain hammering against the windows. I'm not ashamed to admit it, I'm terrified of thunderstorms. Always have been. I was sitting in the living room, clutching a pillow, jumping at every crack of thunder. I heard his footsteps in the hall. "Laura." His voice was calm in the dark. "In here," I said, my voice shaky. He appeared in the doorway, a dim light from his phone casting long shadows on his face. "Power's out everywhere. You okay?" As if on cue, a huge crash of thunder boomed directly above us. I let out a tiny scream and buried my face in the pillow. Hey, he said softly, and I felt him sit down next to me on the couch. "It's just noise. It can't hurt you." "I know," I mumbled into the pillow. "It's stupid." "It's not stupid," he said. And then, gently, he put his arm around my shoulders. "It's just a thing you're afraid of. Everyone has a thing." I tensed for a second, then relaxed into him. He was warm, and he smelled like rain and clean laundry and something else, something that was just him. He didn't say anything else. He just sat there, his arm around me, a solid, comforting presence against the chaos outside. We must have sat there for an hour, just listening to the storm. My heart, which was racing from fear, slowly started to calm down. But then it started racing for a completely different reason. I was acutely aware of every point where our bodies touched. His arm on my shoulder, the side of his leg against mine, the steady, rhythmic sound of his breathing. The storm finally began to die down, the thunder becoming a distant rumble. I lifted my head from the pillow. "I think it's over," I whispered. He looked down at me. In the dim light, his eyes were pools of darkness. "You okay now?" I nodded, but I didn't move away. And he didn't move his arm. We just looked at each other, the silence between us louder than the storm had ever been. My eyes drifted, just for a second, to his lips. It was an involuntary movement, a betrayal by my own body. And when my eyes flicked back up to his, I saw that he had seen it. His gaze intensified. He slowly, so slowly, lifted his free hand and gently brushed a strand of wet hair from my face. His fingers lingered on my cheek, a feather-light touch that sent a jolt of electricity straight through me. "Lara," he breathed, my name a question and a statement all at once. And I knew this was it. The point of no return. Every voice of reason in my head was screaming, "This is your stepbrother. Your mom is in love with his dad. This will destroy everything. This is wrong." But his face was so close. His eyes were so kind. And the loneliness I had carried for so long just melted away in his presence. I didn't say a word. I just leaned forward. And he met me halfway. The kiss was soft, gentle, tentative. It wasn't a kiss of passion, but of discovery. It was a kiss that asked, "Is this real? Do you feel this too?" And the answer, for both of us, was a resounding, terrifying yes. We pulled apart, our foreheads resting against each other, our breaths mingling in the small space between us. The reality of what we had just done crashed down on me. "We can't," I whispered, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. "I know," he whispered back, his voice thick with the same emotion. "I know." But even as he said it, he didn't pull away. He just held me tighter, his thumb tracing small circles on my shoulder. We fell asleep like that, tangled up on the couch, seeking comfort in the very thing that was guaranteed to destroy us. When I woke up the next morning, the sun was streaming through the windows, and he was gone. For a horrible second, I thought I had dreamed it all. Then I saw the note on the coffee table, written on a napkin. It just said, "Last night was real." My heart soared and shattered at the same time. It was real. And that was the best and worst news in the entire world. For the next month, we lived a double life. It was exhausting and exhilarating. During the day, when our parents were around, we were the perfect, polite step-siblings. "Pass the salt, Lara." "Thanks, Mark." "How was work?" "Good, yours." A performance worthy of an Oscar. But at night, when the house was quiet, we were lovers. We became experts at stealth. We'd wait until we heard my mom and David's bedroom door click shut, their soft murmurs fading into silence. Then I'd get a text. A single letter, M. And I'd text back, "B porch." The back porch. Our spot. We'd sit out there for hours, wrapped in a blanket, talking in whispers. We talked about our future, a future we knew we could never have. We'd fantasize about running away together, moving to a different country where nobody knew us, where we could just be Mark and Lara, two people in love. We knew it was a fantasy. We couldn't do that to our parents. My mom had finally found happiness. David had finally found peace after losing his wife. How could we be the ones to rip that apart? But knowing something is wrong doesn't stop your heart from feeling it. It doesn't stop the longing. One night, about 3 weeks in, things went further. We were on the porch, kissing under the stars, and the world just fell away. His hands were in my hair, my hands were on his chest, and the passion we had been holding back for weeks finally broke through the dam. It was intense and beautiful and felt so incredibly right. Afterwards, lying in his arms, the weight of a heavy blanket on the porch swing, I felt a peace I had never known. "This is insane," I murmured into his chest. "I know," he said, kissing the top of my head. "But I don't care anymore. I can't pretend I don't love you." "Love." He said love. My heart clenched. "I love you too," I whispered. "God help me, I do." It was the first time we had said it. And saying it out loud under the silent stars made it both more real and more impossible. But secrets have a way of coming out. They have a weight, a presence. They seep into the cracks. My mom, for all her whirlwind energy, was not stupid. She started to notice things. A look that lasted a second too long. A private smile across the dinner table. The way we always seemed to gravitate towards each other in a room. The end came on a Sunday afternoon. My mom and I were in the kitchen, making Sunday dinner. She was chopping vegetables, humming to herself. David and Mark were out back, grilling. "Honey," my mom said, not looking up from her chopping. "Is everything okay with you and Mark?" My knife slipped, almost cutting my finger. My heart stopped. "What?" "Yeah, fine." "Why?" She finally looked at me, her eyes searching my face. "I don't know. You two just seem close. And I know you're both adults, but I want to make sure you're both comfortable with this new family situation." "It's fine, Mom," I said, forcing a smile. "He's easy to get along with. That's all." She didn't look convinced. She just gave me a long, hard look, then nodded slowly and went back to her chopping. The tension was unbearable. Later that evening, the four of us were watching TV. I was sitting on the floor, leaning against the couch. Mark was in the armchair. During a commercial break, he got up to get a drink. As he walked past me, he couldn't help himself. He gently, almost imperceptibly, ran his fingers through my hair. It was a gesture of pure habit, a second of stolen affection. But my mom saw it. I saw her eyes widen. She looked at Mark's back as he walked to the kitchen, then down at me. The confusion on her face slowly morphed into a dawning, horrible understanding. She didn't say a word. She just got up, her face pale, and walked out of the room. David, oblivious, just frowned and asked, "Sarah, you okay?" I felt the blood drain from my own face. I knew. It was over. Later that night, there was a soft knock on my door. I opened it to find my mom, her eyes red-rimmed from crying. "Laura," she said, her voice so quiet it scared me more than if she had screamed. "We need to talk." We sat on my bed. She didn't beat around the bush. "Are you and Mark together?" she asked, her voice trembling. I couldn't lie to her anymore. The weight of the secret was crushing me. I looked into her eyes, the eyes she had given me, and I nodded. A single, shameful tear rolled down my cheek. "For how long?" she whispered. "A little over a month," I confessed. "Mom, I'm so sorry. I know it's wrong. I know. But I love him." She closed her eyes and more tears spilled out. "Oh, Laura. No. No, no, no." She shook her head, as if trying to dislodge the thought. "He's your brother." "Stepbrother," I said, a pathetic, desperate attempt to lessen the blow. "It doesn't matter," she cried, her voice finally breaking. "We are a family. David is my husband. Mark is his son. This will destroy us all." "I know," I sobbed. "I know, Mom. We tried to stop. We tried so hard." She looked at me then, and I saw a deep, profound sadness in her eyes. Not anger, just sorrow. "You have to end it, Laura. Tonight. Right now. For the sake of this family. You have to end it." She didn't wait for my answer. She just got up and walked out, leaving me alone with the pieces of my shattered heart. I sat there for hours, numb, staring at the wall. Then I picked up my phone and texted Mark. "She knows. It's over. I'm sorry." His reply came a minute later. "I know. My dad just talked to me. Laura, I'm so sorry." He was sorry. I was sorry. We were all just so sorry. The next few months were a special kind of hell. The house became a minefield of grief. Mark moved out within the week, staying with a friend from work. David was devastated, a quiet, wounded anger simmering beneath his usual gentle demeanor. He looked at me differently now, like I was a stranger who had broken something precious of his. My mom walked around like a ghost, going through the motions of life, but with a hollow emptiness in her eyes. And me? I felt like I had died. The worst part was the silence. The house, once filled with the sounds of our blended family, was now just quiet. No laughter from the kitchen. No guitar music drifting from the living room. No late-night whispers on the back porch. I couldn't even go out there anymore. The sight of the porch swing made my stomach clench with a physical pain. I threw myself into work. I worked double shifts, volunteered for every extra project, anything to keep my mind occupied. But at night, when I was alone in my room, the memories would come flooding back. His laugh, his eyes, the way he said my name, the feel of his arms around me during the storm. It was a constant, aching loop in my head. I heard from a friend of a friend that Mark was doing okay. He was focusing on his music, maybe even thinking about moving to another city for a while. The thought of him leaving, of never possibly running into him again, was another knife to the heart. But I knew it was for the best. We needed space. The world needed space from us. My relationship with my mom was the hardest to navigate. We still lived together. We still ate dinner together, mostly in silence. The trust was gone. The easy companionship we had shared was replaced by a polite, painful distance. I knew she blamed me. And she was right to. I was the one who had let it happen. I was the one who had put my selfish feelings above the happiness of our entire family. One evening, about 4 months after everything fell apart, I came home from work to find her sitting at the kitchen table, a cup of cold tea in front of her. She looked up as I walked in, and for the first time in months, her eyes didn't look away. "Sit down, Laura," she said. It wasn't an order, just a tired request. I sat. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she began, her voice slow and measured. "And a lot of talking. With David. With myself." I waited, my heart in my throat. "When I found out about you and Mark," she continued, "I was angry. I was so angry. I felt betrayed. By you. By him. I thought our family was ruined. I blamed you." I nodded, the familiar guilt washing over me. "I know, Mom. I'm sorry." "I know you are," she said softly. "But here's the thing, Laura. Last week, David and I went to see Mark. We had a long talk. A really long talk." She paused, her eyes glistening. "And I saw my son. Not your stepbrother. Just Mark. A young man who was in pain. A young man who had lost his mother and found a friend in a girl who was just as lost and lonely as he was." Tears started streaming down my face. "He told me about the storm," she whispered. "He told me about the late-night talks. He told me how you understood his grief for his mom in a way no one else could. He told me he loved you, Laura. He said it without shame, without hesitation. He just loved you." I was sobbing now, my hands covering my face. And I realized, my mom said, reaching across the table and taking my hand, that this wasn't some twisted, rebellious fling. This was two lonely, hurting people who found each other in the dark. It was a terrible situation, the absolute worst possible situation. But the feeling itself, the love itself, wasn't wrong. I looked up at her, stunned. "Mom, does it make it easy?" she asked, shaking her head. "No. It's still incredibly complicated. David is still struggling with it. It will take time for all of us to heal. But I can't keep living in this house of silence and grief. I can't lose my daughter to a memory." She squeezed my hand. "I'm not giving you my blessing, Laura. Not exactly. But I'm telling you that I understand. And I'm telling you that if you want to talk to him, if you need closure or whatever it is you need, I won't stand in your way." She got up, leaned down, and kissed my forehead just like she used to when I was a little girl. Then she walked out of the kitchen, leaving me alone with a tiny, fragile seed of hope. I sat there for a long time. Then, with shaking hands, I picked up my phone. I opened my messages. The last one I had from him was 4 months ago. Lara, I'm so sorry. I typed a new message. It was just 3 words. I miss you. I stared at it for a full minute, my finger hovering over the send button. Then I took a deep breath and I pressed it. The reply came almost instantly. My heart stopped as I read it. Every single day. Can we talk? And that's where I am now. Sitting in my room, looking at his message. The road ahead is still a mess. It's complicated and messy, and probably full of more heartbreak. But for the first time in 4 months, the silence in my heart has been broken. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough for now. Maybe that's a start.